Hello everybody, good day everyone. I am Jeric Pagay Armson. I am here to discuss one of the teaching method or teaching strategy that can be used in teaching science in elementary grades. My topic is case study and it is divided into 4 parts, which is I'm going to present only the first part, using case study as a teaching strategy, part 1. So you may be wondering that for all the methods and strategies you encountered in the classroom, case study is not much utilized by the teachers. But that doesn't make the case study not effective. It is effective indeed. That only because using case study depends upon the situation, the learning condition of the students, as well as the alignment of the topic. So for you to have deeper understanding of the case study, go along with me as I present or discuss the topic. The question is, what is case study? Okay, on case study, the first thought that may comes to your mind when you read or heard the word case study is it all about cases, and you are absolutely correct. You may think that case study somewhat like spy or agents, and you have point for that. And case study Case study is also called case method or case-based pedagogy, a strategy that learning involves cases to develop new knowledge and skills throughout the experiences in case study. So case study has 3 major parts or 3 major components. One is the case itself. 2 is the student's preparation for engaging with and discussing the case. 3 is the classroom discussion. But in the process of case study, we have to consider the student's condition wherein they must be given access to the cases beforehand or in advance so that they can prepare a detailed discussion. So we've been talking about the case study, but let's take a look on the word case alone. The case. So what is a case all about? A case is a story with a hidden message that describes reality situations that will be resolved by the students and unlock the mystery of the case. So cases are stories that are set in past and focus on real people and events but have something connection with the present, correlating the sequence of events to discover the truth and answers behind the story. So cases are categorized into 4 categories in terms of completeness and openness. The first category is the complete category. Complete case describes fully the situation and its real life situation, the full details of the situation, and it is the situation given it has explicit information regards in the certain matter. The second category is incomplete category. Incomplete case, simply it is the opposite of complete category. But the difference is that it does not include the real outcomes of the results, which has lacking informations and resolutions about a particular topic. The third category is the open category. Open case has many possible solutions or actions that could be recommended where the case is wide open with suggestions coming from different perspectives and various ways. And then, so the fourth category is the closed category. Closed case is much opposite from the open case because it only has single response or solution. And if you want to test the students' understanding of well-defined facts and principles, you can probably use a closed case study. And if you want the students to explore many possibilities and debate their merits, you will structure the case study as an open-ended one. And when we consider what you might expect the students to do with case study materials, the action required, there are 2 basic possibilities. The first is to require the students to analyze the case, and 2, describe aspects of it and possibly debate the merits of the action taken by the people in the case. So that this descriptive analytic approach is probably best used with complete case studies. An alternative is to require the students to go beyond analysis and suggest solutions or courses of action. So for this, you need a case study that presents some type of dilemma so that it will be incomplete, for which there is no single correct answer thinking only one answer. Okay, so thinking about case studies in different ways will help you select, you as a teacher, or develop case studies that best match the outcomes you want the students to achieve at the end of the lesson. But whichever approach you take, the case study will engage the students in a collective analysis of a slice of reality with a common purpose of gaining a deeper understanding of the issues involved. Because the case is describing a real or realistic situation. It will not have all the relevant information set out in clear, logical steps, nor will it necessarily contain all the information that the students need to formulate their arguments. Rather, it will reflect the complexities, ambiguities, and uncertainties of real situations. So the case study will not provide an analysis of the situation it describes. This analysis is left to the students. The case study will provide both intellectual and emotional exercise for the students, forcing them to engage with within or with complex problems and make critical decisions, thus preparing them for the realities they will face after their formal education. Because case studies require the learners to seek feasible ways, applicable ways of resolving contextualized realistic issues they enter. Correct? Because they do not involve the mechanical application of theory designed to produce a sterile textbook answer to a contrived and simplified problem. Rather, they take advantage of the idea that real-life significant problems have no correct answer, just ranges of possible answers. Correct? Because in life, there are many possible ways to resolve the problem or issues in a society, right? Okay, so case study, they also help the students to see that they can simultaneously develop their understanding of theory and their problem-solving skills while struggling with realistic problems. That is according to Colson 1999. And that is indeed correct because through the case study, students are engaged with the problems. They are able to unlock or discover some knowledges and wisdom that might need for them to develop personally, intrinsically, intellectually and emotionally as they go along with the case study. And when and why should case study be used as a teaching strategy? That is another question for this topic. So the case method of teaching can provide a very natural way of helping the students to learn by exploiting the basic human capacity to learn from stories. So simply, that is a literacy. You are exploring yourself from the basic capacity of human learn from the stories. Just like in case study, you are only referring to the stories told by the people around you, and that is according to Hazel and Zolia 1996. So cases offer students opportunities to grapple with issues, problems, dilemmas, and puzzles in ways that are engaging, challenging, and productive in a reasonably safe but not entirely risk-free environment. That is according to Borer 1994, and that is correct because as you can notice or observe in the classroom, if you let the students to engage in the classroom, especially using the case study, it helps them to be productive, right? Although it is very risky for them because it is a case study, you are studying the cases of the situations in real life, but still, you, the teacher, you have to facilitate and give more conducive and safer environment for them to accomplish the case study. Okay, so cases encourage the students to reach a deeper understanding of the concept and issues than they would from just reading or listening to a lecture. That is according to Volpe 2002. It is very evident for us, the future educators, that lecture only has small percentage of learning by the students because lecture is more on passive learning, wherein with a case study, we can assure that the students will learn something, not just a small amount of learning, but we can assure that the great knowledge we can impart to the students, right? Okay, so case study, they help the students to appreciate the limited extent to which their current theoretical understandings enable them to resolve ill-defined problems and provide credible explanations of real situations. So case studies encourage the learners to take responsibility for their own learning and to see the benefits of thinking about theoretical issues before they are discussed in class. Okay, so Case narratives can portray situations and dilemmas as they evolve over time, thus allowing the students to appreciate the importance of time as a contextual factor in real problem solving. That is according to Kubala and Tipins 2000. Okay, so this is involvement of time, and with the case study, it is very time consuming for the teachers as well as to the students to accomplish case studies, because first you have to identify the issue or the case, and then you let the students to have a big preparation for them to understand and analyze and observe the situations or the situations that happen in the case, and then the students will let discuss or present their insights, their opinions, and what they have observed from the case towards the other students. And case studies transform the student's role from a passive recipient of information to an intellectual detective. That is according to Fratantuono 1994. And I agree for this, because with the case study, learners or students will not become a passive recipient of information, because they are the one that construct the knowledge from their observations coming from the cases or the experiences. Okay, so this helps the students to develop their metacognitive skills, awareness, and control of their thinking and learning process. So when we say metacognitive skills, it is thinking of thinking, the brain or the mind of the individual. So with the case study, students are able to develop metacognitively skills wherein they think of the case as they are going to resolve the issue or problem that they are encountering in the case, right? Okay, so the case method also provide at least two opportunities for the teacher to deepen their understanding. One, it often results in the teacher encountering fresh perspectives on old problems, because the student suggests things that teacher had not thought of, and it can give the teachers chance to test classic solutions on their problems. That is according to Bruner 2001. Okay, two possibilities. One is that students may have some knowledge that the teachers doesn't have, where in the fact the students can share it to the teachers, so the teachers will have a fresh knowledge about it. So that's a good thing for the teacher and the students, a good thing coming from the case study. And the second one is that the teachers can test or examine their knowledge correlating to the knowledge that have been discovered by the students based on the cases that they have imploring in the discussion. Okay, so deeper understanding is also likely to be a product of teacher deliberately trying to develop fresh ways of covering well-trodden ground. On the other hand, using case study may not be suitable for all situations. It also has some limitations. Okay, so I have some here table. The table below presents summary of both advantages and limitations of using case study as a strategy in class. So this is according to Killen 2009. So there are things that we consider before we utilize case study in teaching science. And let's have a look in the following manners. Okay, so as you can observe that not all methods and strategies will be utilized or used by a teacher inside the classroom, because there are lots of things needs to consider before using the method or strategy. And for this one, we have to focus in the case study. Okay, so the table here is from the Killen's 2009. Okay, so this is a good opportunity for us to have to grapple information about the scope and limitation of the using case study. Okay, so first column we have use case study if one, the outcomes you want the students to achieve are readily related to issues beyond the classroom. Okay, so if the things that materials that you need to be involved in the case study is really enough for the teachers to to monitor and to hands-on, then you are ready to use the case study. But if not, do not use case study, because in case study it requires materials and hands-on experiences to accomplish the case study, okay, to resolve the issue or problem. Number two, use case study if two, the learners have sufficient prior knowledge to guide their analysis of complex materials. Okay, so you cannot let the students use case study without prior knowledge about analyzing the details or situations that are given to them, because with the fact that learners, especially in elementary, they have simply low level of thinking. They are still in the process of developing their knowledge skills, right? So you have to be considerate in their learning learning stage level, right? Okay, so use case study if 3. The students are self-motivated and can learn with minimal assistance. So, I have to discuss that there are two kinds of motivation, the intrinsic and the extrinsic motivation. So, you have to let the students to be intrinsically motivated to learn. And you cannot let case study implore in a discussion or in your classroom if the students are not self-motivated to learn. Because with that, if they are not motivated, you cannot let the progress of learning prosper day by day because they are not motivated enough to learn. So you have to make some or create some activities or inspirational stories that would let them inspire, aspire, motivated to learn, especially in the case study. 4. Use case study if you want to build the students' confidence by showing the value of their individual solutions to problem. Because you individually, we have our own perspective of coping up with the problems that we have faced in life, right? Correct? Okay, so at the age of primary, I mean elementary grades, okay? So at the age for that grade level, we have to practice the students to develop solutions in their own manner. So to resolve the problem that they have encountered in life. So with the use of case study, if you teacher, you want to let your students value the individual solutions, then use the case study because this is a very good opportunity for us, the teachers, to develop the students' individual problem or not solving skill in the problem life, not just for the certain like for example like 1+1 problem or like some situations that can be found in the book, but we are talking about here also the science life. We have here the biological life, like the life that we experience day by day. So use case study 5 if you want to encourage the students to be independent learners. Okay, so we usually think that learners are very dependent on the teachers, right? Because they usually depend on the lectures and the demonstrations coming from the teachers. But if you teacher, if you want to encourage your students to let them be independent individual or independent learner, so this one method case study is a very good to implore because you as a teacher, I mean the learners, if you let the learners to have this case study, they will be able to work independently. They will ask questions. They will be curious about the topic that you are giving to them. So with that, they will have their independence of accomplishing the work that is given to them. And 6, use case study if you want to foster critical thinking. So, okay, so case study is very critical condition of learning or teaching method or strategy because it involves lots of situations or mannerisms that could develop the students to be more productive in having in obtaining knowledge coming from the different situations in life. So if you want to foster critical thinking of the learners, you have to, I am recommending you to use this case study because with the case study, it helps or sana it molds the students to think wisely, developing analytical skills wherein they will debate, they will present, they will analyze, they will give their insights and examine their perceptions, perspectives, comparing them to the other perspectives of the people or their classmates or the teachers. Okay, so that's all you can use study if those are the six considerations that you can use case study. However, on the other hand, do not use case study if 1, the students lack the basic skills to work independently or in small groups. So I've said earlier in the first column, use case study if you want to encourage the students to independently work. But here, do not let the students or do not use the case method if the students lack the basic skills to work independently because this will not lead to the effective teaching because if the students are not used to work independently, so they don't have any ideas about what you're going to do, so they need some guidance, they need some prior knowledge for them to proceed to the things that they need to be done in case study. Got it? Okay, so we have to do not use case study if the student have very poor literacy skills. And when we're talking about literacy skills, that is the literate ability to read and write, ability to do something. Right? So when the students have very poor literacy skills, so you as a teacher, you must not use the case method because they cannot read properly, they cannot speak properly, they cannot write properly. So how they can accomplish the task that you are giving to them when they are not literate, right? So you have to consider their literacy level, no? Ato siya i-consider kay ano man if dili sila kay pamusuti sila kay ba mo basa, how they can understand, how they can analyze the thoughts, the ideas, the and everything else that needs to be done. So before ka mag-use of case study, you have to let the students to be literate enough so that it will be easy for you as a teacher as well as the students to proceed and accomplish the task. Okay? Okay, do not use case study. 3, you cannot allow the students sufficient time to analyze the case materials. Okay? So, dapat nag-shade ako nga time. You have to let the students manage the time in a, like kanang paghatag, you have to give the task beforehand or in advance so that they can have a big preparation in presenting their discussion or the topic that you are giving to them. So 4 is that do not use case study if the students lack background knowledge necessary for interpreting and resolving the case. So, for example, the students, especially coming from the bukid like rural areas, so you have to be considerate enough that students coming from the rural areas, they don't have much experiences of resolving cases, right? Because they are more on practical life. So you as a teacher, you have to vigilant enough, no? Ato dyan siyang tan-awon, lantawon ang mga kinabuhi sa atong estudyante. Because if you think and if you notice that students lack background knowledge about interpreting, and you have to practice them well and practice them day by day, have some drills so that they can develop their analytical and problem solving skills. And for that, you can then apply the case method in your classroom teaching. So all in all, teachers, especially we, the future educators, must be vigilant enough to know the strengths and weaknesses of the methods and strategies and be able to determine the scope and limitations of it so that we can avoid chaotic learning and complicated teaching inside the classroom, as well as to alignment of the certain topics. So this brings me to the end of my presentation in the part 1. So I hope you learned something from me. See you around and thank you everyone. Bye!